Right, I just want to introduce this album review on camera, and it's an album that I found out about a few months ago, released this year. It's called Heavy Light, and it's by a band called US Girls. And just a brief history of this band. It was begun by songwriter Meg Remy in the late 2000s, and it was a bit of a noisy solo act backed by reel-to-reel tapes. But the project then grew into larger-than-life pop, and the 2018 album Inner Poem Unlimited was one of Remy's finest moments, with her songwriting blending disco, funk, glam rock and ambient composition. Heavy Light, the latest, expands on the colourful complexities of Inner Poem Unlimited, with Remy trying different styles and retraining her experimental ideas that has always been part of US Girls. And I will now go through the tracks and a brief comment on lyrics.
$4 it's a very dreamy sort of keyboard synthesized rhythm with some nice little percussive elements to it, and the singing is seductive. Girl singers, the lead, and then a nice chorus as well that fills it out. It's certainly very, very appealing sort of pop. It's got a sort of a warmness to it. It's nice. As the harmony chorus prevails on top of this sort of sweet pop beat, there's a lead vocal, very sort of soul-like, back in the mix, which sounds really, really effective. And as we approach the back end, there's sort of some really nicely added sort of orchestral arrangements, not swamping it, just feeding into it, which just gives it that sort of edge. As we approach the finish, it's sort of stripped back and becomes very much more funky R&B, which it wasn't at the beginning. I find it very, 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 very challenging and very, very good.
So track one, $4, and the lyrics to this. Well, I think it's about money, the necessity of money, and its evil, the haves and the have-nots. It's a bit universal, but it also sucks that we're controlled by it.
Track 2, Overtime, is a much shorter track, and it's much more sort of stripped back, traditional sort of R&B soul. I found the vocals, it rang Motown images in my head, but it's not as orchestral like that. It's more stripped back. The drums are very prevalent, and the chorus girl harmonies supplementing the lead, who sounded like Diana Ross in the Supremes era. Very much R&B pop style. Not as big an impact as the first track, but nevertheless extremely interesting. And as we move towards the outro, there's some really tantalising sax, which conjures up images of Junior Walker or whatever. It's got that edge.
Second track's called Overtime. I think it's a song about working so much that your partner seeks solace in the bottle because they never see you, with some tragic consequences.
Track 3's IOU, and here we get more of the traditional sound of R&B soul in the USA, going back to the early 60s, a ballady soul epic really, and it very tastefully done. The lead vocals reminiscent of all those great divas, and it's really tastefully put together. So with that combination of choral arrangements with some sort of gentle piano lead and impassioned vocals, it's a delightful piece, and very, very moving, and a complete contrast to the openers.
Track 3 is IOU. It's a song about getting attention, craving attention through being pretty, adorning tattoos, etc. But be aware of the depth of feelings that take longer to blossom. That's the message, and not hide on these pretentious things so much. The advice to teenage self is a spoken word, as said before, and it advises really on self-awareness and believing in yourself as a young adolescent, and showing a bit of self-confidence.
Next up is Advice to Teenage Self. It's quite a whimsical, amusing spoken word piece about talking to your younger self and giving advice as to what you ought to have done as opposed to what you did. It's less than a minute, but it's an interesting little idea, very befitting of one which one could describe this collection as experimental. State House, It's a Man's World follows, and it starts up and you're expecting it to be almost a Phil Spector type of early 60s style, with that sort of booming drums, and then the girls start up their vocals. Interesting. It's almost sort of anthemic style choruses, very carefree, and tuned in with clapping rhythms. It's very, very strange sort of stuff, really, I have to admit, but a pleasant surprise. And just towards the end, we get a taste of sort of saw-like factory noises to go with this sort of clapping style chorus. Very interesting indeed.
State House, It's a Man's World. Well, the lyric here is a reality check for girls growing up, with a message from everywhere that their looks are their most important asset, and that needs to change in a man's world.
Born to Lose is next, and I know I've read somewhere anywhere that it's not good for reviews to comment on who or what the music sounds like by comparing them, but I don't accept that really, as long as you don't overdo it. I think it's interesting to refer to sounds like so and so, and I have to confess that some of the lead vocal on this owes more than a nod to Patti Smith. Her not just her early stuff, her sort of passioned
like lead vocals, and this girl sounds a bit like that, to be frank. I'll just try and find her name for us. Her name is Meg Remy, and she's been around since about a decade, and very interesting she is too. After a sort of jaunty sort of vocal, midway through, there's some jazz type xylophone as a sort of break, which caught me completely by surprise. And then we return to the very simple rhythm, and the harmonies take over, and we get two lots of them juxtaposed together, and it makes for some very, very nice rhythmic sort of atmosphere. It's really interesting music, this.
Next up, the lyrics to Born to Lose. This is a difficult one to interpret. I think it's about female need to empower themselves, as males give a load of false promises to them, false facts about helping the woman with career, life, beauty, etc. You name it, and it has an adverse impact on women in most cases.
Track 7 then is And Yet It Moves / YSM Mover, and that's my very poor Latin, and it certainly starts off with a very sort of salsa Latino beat with some nice maracas and that sort of dance-like Latin feel that we all love so dearly. The song sort of very much built around a nice sort of synthesized loop, which owes a slight nod to Madonna, it has to be said, and the bridge accentuates that style of sound, which knits perfectly with the Latino percussion. There's also a touch of sort of Latin lounge-like jazz in the latter part of it, and it really does smooch its way to the outro.
And Yet It Moves, yes, it moves. I think this song's lyrics is about the dilemma over world problems, world difficulties and belief systems. The contrast is shown between flowers that symbolise beauty and bottles that symbolise trash. Stuck to a cross is a metaphor for religious belief, of course, and a man in bed symbolises male control over women.
A second spoken word here, conversation, man and woman, talking about, well, what the title reflects, examples of how brutal family and to a lesser extent friends can be. It's a real sort of statement, really, via the artist of what's necessary to overcome to get into creativity.
The most hurtful thing, another spoken word, a message about how other human beings can be vile to other vulnerable, impressionable youngsters.
Denise, Don't Wait follows. It's a ballady intro with some nice xylophone or whatever that instrument is, glockenspiel style intro. And of course the lead vocals is a major contributor to this album, but she still sounds a little bit like Patti Smith, it has to be said. As the drum roll quickens, the vocals sound very, very reflective of sort of the Phil Spector style of female groups of the early 60s, and although the production on this is obviously more modern, it's got a sort of nod to that era for certain, and the sort of orchestral arrangements make a fuller sound, and it's very much sang in a sort of, described by another critic as a sort of a group melodrama, which I think sums up the sort of vocal contribution perfectly. It's very likeable.
Lyrics to Denise, Don't Wait. It's possibly about sexual orientation, not sure really, and how elders can't accept this as they make it a reflection on them, which is bullshit. It's certainly about a partner chosen who wouldn't be accepted.
Woodstock 99 starts off with a sort of a duet of vocal and piano, and I heard a little bit of Chrissie Hynde in there, but this girl can sing for sure, and it's once again, it pins your ears. It's very accessible. As we get further into the song, the nostalgia, the memory of previous melancholic tracks are recalled, and there's a sort of a short rendition of the late 60s hit MacArthur Park. I always remember being sang by Richard Harris, and it works. It definitely works. Some very nice little lead guitar touches that very much reflective of the 70s and how pop ballads were popular and how they were delivered to the listener.
Woodstock 99, interesting lyric here. I think it's memories of being an unborn. 1999 may be significant as the year that one was born, and that's shared with a friend. And he also recalls peaceful protests and the sound of the infamous song MacArthur Park, which is a song about a love affair ending. The being born issue, I think being born into a one-parent family and possibly a female friend, being a replacement father, and that friend also having a child, and that friend being in the same boat, so to speak.
Third sort of spoken word, and like the second, there's two people talking at the same time. They're sort of dubbed together, but describing the colours that were distinctive in their childhood. Different colours chosen, reflected of boys versus girls, the old adage of blue and pink. But interesting addition to a musical record.
The colour of your childhood bedroom, a third of the spoken word lyric, it really speaks for itself, about how we allocate colours to sexes, etc. But I think it's also a little bit about the big band imagery, and this is significant for females.
Yeah, the closer then, the Quiver to the Bomb, a much more up-tempo, almost pop rock, with a punchy sort of piano rhythm or chord, really, repeated with the vocals on top, and then it develops into a standard sort of rock type of full sound, which is reminiscent of sort of 80s really. Interesting again that it should be completely different to anything else that we've heard on the album, which seemed to be reflective of this eclectic mix. And it sort of builds to a sort of crescendo and then sort of slowly softens out to the outro with the sort of repeated synthesized sound, but not in your face. It's sort of light and gentle, and that concludes this album. There is a bonus track, and I'm going to briefly comment on that.
The Quiver to the Bomb is about the Big Bang Theory. That's my interpretation anyway, which is significant, more significant for females in terms of them giving life.
Bonus track then, it's Redford Radio. It's got a rather dark sort of drum-led sort of riff. I wouldn't call it a rhythm really, and the vocals on top sort of hollow-like, and it's a mood-driven piece, and she still sounds like Patti Smith to me, a sort of a very young Patti Smith, teenage style, so it's less sort of emotionally packed, but certainly an appealing vocal. Yeah, I made a mistake. The Redford Radio is actually on the album. It's not a bonus, but it's certainly intense, and it's gloomy. I think gloomy, and Meg Remy is certainly a very interesting artist. And one to keep an eye on if this is the quality of material that she's putting together. So I really like this album. It begs repeated listens though, because you tend to get an extra from each listen. So that's my review of Heavy Light by US Girls, released in 2020.